Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Viper gaming mouse V570 Blackout edition. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, welcome back. So today we're going to be taking a look at a corded mouse, RGB mouse, gaming mouse. Now this is suitable for FPS gamers and MMOs. So if you fit into either of those categories, this is going to be right up your street. Also, if you're a video editor and you're right-handed, again, this is going to be perfect as there's lots of programmable buttons and options for programming macros in the software. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's take a look at some of the specs. So as you can tell, first of all, on the box, we've got a ton of RGB lighting, and there are many lighting zones on here for you to play around with to your heart's content. And we'll be taking a look at that a little bit later on in the video once it's unboxed and we've got the software installed, and also after I've given it a test run on a bit of CSGO. So next part is the 1200 DPI laser sensor. Now this is using a Avago or I'm not even sure how you pronounce it, but apparently it's a very good sensor. I've not actually used this mouse, so I cannot confirm or deny that rumor, but hopefully I will be able to confirm it a little bit later on. So 1200 DPI, obviously selectable. You can reduce the DPI to your personal preference in the software. Again, we'll be looking at some of the settings that are available in the software a little bit later. Now you've also got an adjustable weight system, which actually is pretty cool. Again, we'll see that when we unbox it. And like I said, we've got the FPS or MMO hybrid design. So looking at the packaging, actually the packaging is pretty nice, and if you're receiving this as a gift, I think you'd be pretty impressed. They've done pretty well on the packaging. You've got this magnetic front flap on the box, which is quite nice, and again there's more details on the inside. We're talking about the laser sensor, the ceramic foot pads. Now the ceramic foot pads are something which I'm really keen to see, because that is the thing with foot pads on mice. They get gunked up, they get dirty, and you're forever cleaning them. I don't know about you, but I live in a house in the real world where there's dust and there's animals and there's food and all that kind of stuff. So they get dirty and they clog up, and eventually you clean them off and then they are like brand new again. But there's always a difference, and they drag and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really interested to see how well the ceramic feet pad or foot pads do to combat that kind of problem. Also again, it's talking about the adjustable weight system, which we'll see shortly. You've got 13 programmable macro keys. That's a lot of keys right there. And also it goes on again about the FPS and MMO hybrid design. So moving around, again, same kind of deal. Talks about the sensor, ceramic foot pads. I think the ceramic foot pads actually are probably one of the key selling points of this, along with the RGB. This actually, if you're looking for a mouse around about the kind of £50 mark, which in the UK this retails at around that price at the moment, really the competition is between this and probably the Logitech G502. Now, I don't know about you, but I've had, and in the house we've had a couple of G502s, which have actually been pretty good mice. They've got very similar feature set, but both of them have failed, and eventually we've moved on to something else. So hopefully this, using the Omron switches, is going to be slightly more reliable and have a little bit more longevity. Anyway, I'm waffling on. Let's get this thing out of the box and see what it actually looks like. So in the packaging, you've got the blister pack. This looks like it's the weights, which will open up. Yep, so there we are. There's our bullet arrangement of weights. I'll have a look at that a little bit closer in a minute. And here is the mouse itself. And actually, first of all, I can notice there's a really nice braided cable on there. It's not too thick, so it's going to be difficult to manage on your desk or drag. And it's not too flimsy that it's a bit cheap. This actually looks like the perfect solution. So in the envelope, this is quite common actually with Viper products or Patriot products. You get inside, you get a couple of stickers. You can stick those where you like, and you get a introductory card. So it tells you how to go about using it, gives you a package contents, setup. Essentially, it's a USB cable and a website address for the software, should you choose to use it. You don't have to use the software if you don't want to, but the Windows software is for Windows 10, and I think that is pretty much it. Again, we'll check in on that a little bit later on. I think realistically, most people are going to be on Windows 10 now anyway, so we'll take that as a given. So getting back to the mouse, so we've got USB cable, we've got a Velcro strap for our cable management, which is pretty much standard these days. Got a nice long, actually, braided cable, which if you've got a desktop or PC or whatever it is, and it's possibly quite far away from you, you're not going to have to worry about the actual cable length, because this is actually very long, just over 2 meters, I would say. So should reach most places, and obviously If it is a little bit too long for your liking, you have got the cable management Velcro on there, so you can tidy it up as you see fit. So looking at the mouse itself, actually it's got a very nice rubberized feel to the left and right mouse buttons, and also the wheel. There is a element of kind of grip, almost like a tire tread on the wheel, and the wheel actually feels very nice and very smooth. It's not very notchy, but not too hard to wheel. So there's a little bit of free motion there, but not a great deal. So it's not going to be flying away. Next to that, you've got the DPI change buttons. Again, those buttons you can change to be pretty much whatever you want. On the side here, there's 2 buttons there. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons there on that side. This thing has got a ton of buttons. Now this button on the side is actually pre-programmed as your FPS button. So if you're using a first-person shoot 'em up, you press that and it automatically lowers the DPI so you can get your headshots, your sniper shots, all that kind of stuff. Or if there's something, maybe if you're using this for Photoshop or video editing and you're trying to get a particular shape, or you're trying to get rid of red eye or whatever it may be, that will actually reduce the DPI. So if you're used to sort of zooming around the screen, but then you need to really focus on a small area, you can just press that button and you're good to go. Now actually you'll probably notice that I'm left-handed, and this is, as you can quite clearly see, is a right-handed mouse. Now as a left-hander, it is actually difficult to get a left-handed mouse. You can get some ambidextrous mice or some kind of neutral mice which are for both. But most gaming mice these days tend to be for right-handed people. Now actually I don't mind that at all, because I generally don't use a great deal of extra buttons, so as long as it feels comfortable, and actually I find that in the kind of claw grip actually works really well for me, so we'll see how it affects my playing. And actually I've just noticed straight away, the feet, the ceramic feet, it just glides really smoothly. Now this desk has seen a little bit of wear and tear over the last year or so, so it's not the flattest of surface, but actually it's like glass. I really like those, they're really good. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ceramic feet on the bottom, and they're in a really nice layout. So you've got 1 at the back, 2 at the front, and 2 in the sides. So you've actually got a really nice balance there as well, and there doesn't seem to be any obvious kind of rock or roll to it. It actually seems very flat, so that's really nice to see. So what else have we got? So on the front you've got 2 LED lighting zones for the RGB. Also you've got a sensor there, or a level sensor there, tells you how your DPI is doing, whether it's at the lowest setting or the highest setting or somewhere in between. There's a Viper logo there which will light up. Now I will be adding some kind of shots to this later, so hopefully you'll be able to see that in a little bit more depth with the lighting. But all in all, actually this looks really, really nice. I'm actually quite impressed. So let's take a look at the weighting system. Now the weight system is very simple to do. There's a section here which you just lift up, and I'm not sure, but I think that's actually magnetic. So that kind of, yeah, that's pulled straight into place, and that just lifts off pretty simply. Now as you can see in here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces to put your weights, which relates to these little bullets here, or weights. So each one of these weights is approximately, I think it's about 6 grams each, 5.7 I think it was when I asked Google a little bit earlier on. So you can add about 34 grams worth of weight to the mouse. Now there's actually 7 weights in here, there's 6 spaces. So there's one of either 2 things. One, they like the design so much they added the extra weight, which seems a little bit odd. Or alternately, they've added a spare just in case you should lose one. Now, I'm pretty sure that you can't get 7 in here, but let's go ahead and try it. Now these do fit in quite easily, so just push them into the slots or the hole. They might be a little bit more difficult for those of you that haven't got nails. Now I've been working on greasy, oily stuff recently, so most of my nails have been obliterated. And this last one is actually a little bit trickier to get into because it's slightly recessed. So actually what you could do, if you wanted to use the extra weight, give it that extra bit, so that would take it up to what, just slightly over 40 grams of additional weight, you could actually rest that in there. And does that still fit? No. No, that doesn't work. So 34.5 grams or whatever it is going to be your limit on that. See if that snaps into place. Yep. Oh yeah, that actually does feel quite a lot different, and you can probably tell by the extra movement now that is got a lot of extra weight to it, and it's still gliding around quite nicely even though there's glue and all sorts of stuff on this desk. It's actually I think that's actually going to be more precise because you've got a little bit more weight to kind of counteract with your wrist. So I think I'll probably end up using it with it fully laden like it is there. And I say, if you do lose one of the little weights, you do get a spare. So that's a nice little touch. So we've looked pretty much at most of the features of the mouse. You've got lots of buttons, you've got lots of RGB, which you'll be hopefully seeing in the B-roll that I've been filming. All that's left for me now really is to play some games for a few hours. Who would be a games tester? Catch you in a bit. Okay, so this is the Patriot Viper software solution for the V570 mouse. So this is the opening screen, so you've got your buttons and your various profiles. So there's 5 profiles that you can save into the software, and you've got all these different buttons which you can program. So things like this button here on the side, no function currently, so you can assign it any of these predefined settings. You can also assign it to a key if you wanted to. So say for instance you wanted to assign the enter key, for instance, to one of the buttons. So maybe you're running through an FPS and you want it to open a door, you can get it to do that, whatever it may be. Maybe you want to set up one of the buttons as a screenshot button. You could set it to print screen. If you're using Microsoft OneDrive, it would automatically save a screenshot. So that could be quite useful. Or maybe you want to set a mute command or something like that. All those options are available. You've got other advanced functions, so you've got your lift off, your DPI, locking axis and all that kind of stuff. Macro, so you can go in and you can program a macro, just record a macro and save that to the device. So you've got 7,000 bytes of free space, so you can create a couple of macros if you wanted to. And then you've got a key cycle as well, which you can use. So let's cancel that. So that is the buttons, so you can program those to whatever you want. Obviously left click, right click, all that kind of stuff. The sensor, you've got adjustable sensor, so you can change the settings. So if you want to, you can just put it right the way up to 1200 dpi, which is a little bit on the high side. I quite like this speed setting 2, which is 1600. That for me works really well and is pretty much what I'm used to. So that works really well for me. But again, you can choose it to be whichever one you want for whichever profile you're in. So also you've got the settings, so you can go into settings and you can change your USB polling rate, angle snap-in, enable DPI, etc, etc. It gives you information about the mouse, so model V570, the current driver version and firmware version, and there's a pin number as well. I'm not too sure why you'd need that, but it's there. And for some of you, the most important bit is the light effect. So you can go in, there's the wave setting, the inverted wave setting, random, which just does all kinds of random lighting, and random 2, which is your traditional color flow, which actually looks really nice. I quite like that personally. And if you've got a keyboard or an older mouse or whatever setup that does the kind of the aurora flow, then you could quite happily use it with that and it would look really nice. In the customize, you can go in and you can choose your individual lighting areas. So you've got 7 different areas which you can choose. So there's 4 lighting areas on the side, 1 on the front for your headlights, 1 for the mouse wheel, and there's 1 at the back for the Viper logo, as we said earlier. And if you want to, you can set all the lights to one particular color. So if green is your thing, if you're an NVIDIA person, then you can have yourself a green mouse. Alternately, obviously, if you are red team, you can have all red. I think we'll just go with wave for now. I quite like that one. So there is the software itself. It's all pretty straightforward. Lots of functionality. Very technical if you want it to be. And also very simple and user-friendly if you just want to scrape the surface of what is available. Okay, so we've had a look at the software for the Viper gaming mouse V570 Blackout Edition, and I think it's got a lot of features going for it. Seems to work really well. The weight of this mouse is absolutely fantastic. I really do like the weight in the ceramic feet. I've had a little blast on CSGO, and I did find it to be extremely responsive, and even playing around with some of the DPI settings and the sniper button actually does improve your gameplay. So if you are looking for that slight competitive edge with your gaming mouse, then this is certainly worth a look. Now, one thing I will say, if you are a left-hander like myself, this possibly isn't the mouse for you. Now, this is me being completely honest. If you are a left-hander, I've got to be honest, I did struggle with it a little bit. It's a little bit on the large side for me to get to my fingers. The ideal clicking point for this mouse is actually towards the front of the mouse buttons. So if you've either got slightly smaller hands or you prefer a smaller mouse, this may be a little bit too large for you. Maybe it's because I was using my left hand. Even with my right, I do find it is actually a lot more comfortable, but I couldn't get used to it, and I'm not a right-handed game player. It was fine for browsing Windows, and I've been using it with my Surface Pro, and it's been absolutely fantastic. General web browsing, emails, all that kind of stuff, no problems whatsoever. But if you are a dedicated left-hander when it comes to gaming, I would maybe look for a more ambidextrous version of this mouse. But all in all, I think it's actually a really nice mouse, loads of feature sets, high quality, adjustable weights, RGB lighting is great, there's lots of flexibility, and it's at a really good price. And with the on switches, it's going to have a long life ahead of it. So let me know in the comments what you think of this. I'm actually personally very impressed. Are you a left-hander who uses right-handed gaming mice? What is your experience? Would you consider using the V570 for your daily driver? Let me know in the comments section below. But in the meantime, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. This has been the Viper Gaming V570 Blackout Edition, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.